I exaggerated my daughter's symptoms so the doctors would do tests. I want to start by saying I don't not have Munchausen syndrome. I love my kids and I don't want them to be sick. Anyways, my daughter started having episodes of breath holding, abnormal eye movements, and lethargic type symptoms after these episodes. The first time it happened, I took her in and truthfully told them what happened. I was told it's probably breath holding spells. It's pretty scary for new moms and we were sent home. The diagnosis didn't sit right with me. Over the course of a month the episodes were more frequent, happening every day, multiple times a day. She had an episode where it lasted 2 minutes. So I took her to the exaggerated the symptoms and they did additional tests 24 hours. EEG and MRI. The tests confirmed that she in fact has epilepsy, not breath-holding spells. Had to do this with myself. I was so tired and couldn't get anyone to take my seriously. So I took my symptoms up a notch, did a few more blood tests and other things, and was finally diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. Now that I know what's wrong, it's been easier to manage. But if I hadn't embellished a little, they wouldn't have given me the tests I wanted. Look, I'm a doctor and even I exaggerate my symptoms to be taken seriously sometimes. Some doctors are too tired to do their job correctly and treat only serious symptoms or easy diagnosis. You had me in the first half. I was definitely thinking Munchausen by proxy. But you actually just advocated for your daughter, which is something all parents should be doing. Until they are old enough to do it themselves. If you think something is wrong, it may be because it is wrong. I'm glad you got the actual diagnosis and I hope you are both managing it okay now. You did the right thing. Too many doctors are too quick to dismiss serious symptoms. You did what you had to do. I did that all the time. I even do it for myself. Do it especially if you have a chubbier kid because doctors always blame everything on being fat. Face with rolling eyes. Yeah, with how frequent these symptoms had become, I'm glad you were persistent. Are you confessing to being a great mom? You are amazing and absolutely did the right thing. I once was up at emergency as I was unwell and had been fainting. The triage nurse, who didn't even check me out, said to me from behind a counter to just take aspirin and go home. So as I turned to leave, I pretended to pass out on the floor and only then did they take a closer look. Ran a bunch of tests and it turned out I was close to having a stroke. I didn't have to exaggerate symptoms for my kid. But after my daughter at 2.5 years old had a total for 5 tonic-clonic seizures, I started documenting what I thought were nocturnal myoclonic seizures. The docs told me that was all normal and it didn't sound like seizure activity. After messaging her pediatric neurologist 4-5 times, I finally sent a video of the episodes. They increased her meds immediately. Women are still treated as if they don't know what the hell they are talking about. Never mind that I had 15 years of experience working with children who had seizure disorders. I have seen a thing or two. This is normal and doctors also expect it and are trained how to assess it. They are also trained to understand your input as you know what is familiar and isn't for your child. Particularly when they aren't able to advocate for themselves. You did good. Don't overthink it. I lied to get my doctors to do tests and it turned I did have the suspected condition. Glad I did trust your gut. Unfortunately, I've lost all faith in the medical community. In part because of this. It's just another day at the office for them. My son is currently being treated for rheumatic fever and the first 4 visits we weren't taken seriously. Now my boy may have heart problems and have to be on penicillin until he's 21. Women encounter sexism in medicine, often in this form of being minimized, invalidated and ignored by both male and female physicians. Not believing women actually costs lives, and countless women suffer because no one actually listens. Sometimes being hyperbolic gets people to actually listen to you. I don't blame you, and good for you for fighting for a diagnosis. Even if you didn't quite fight fair. Always trust your gut. Honestly, in my country, you're only getting taken seriously if you act like you're dying. Being tough gets you nothing. You did what you needed to take care of your kid. Good on you. Let's be real, if doctors would have taken seriously the first go around, you would not have had to do what you did, so it's very logical that you did what you did because doctors do not listen. I had chronic ear infections for 9 months. 2 ruptured eardrums, one healed, the other didn't, because the doctor decided a flush was the way to fix it, and they ripped my eardrum on one side, fluid leaking from ears. And I still couldn't get anyone to actually address the issue until I told them I was allergic to hydrocodone. It was freaking ridiculous. You a real one. As a chronically ill person whose parents didn't advocate enough when I was a kid. Thank you, I still have to do this because docs like to blame everything on one of my conditions. Lo and behold, that's not the only thing wrong with me. I can sympathize with you. Often in situations I find myself exaggerating because I feel like if I don't I will be blown off. It's a very uncomfortable situation for people who care about being honest. Your situation's even scarier since that's to do with your child's life. I'm sorry that you had to do this in order to get this taken seriously. Doctor here. You were correct in doing this. Most of the time it is more helpful to us if the mother is a bit more concerned because they are usually the ones that would properly explain the symptoms seen in their child. Pediatric patients are very hard to diagnose because majority of the patients could not properly describe their symptoms. Mothers who are more concerned are also more cooperative in doing the necessary tests. It is better to always assume the worst diagnosis first. If it is ruled out, then we can consider the less life-threatening diagnosis. Suggested read. Doing harm: the truth about how bad medicine and lazy science leave women dismissed, misdiagnosed, and sick, by Maya Dusenberry. I've learned most doctors are so busy. If you aren't bleeding out, they pat you on the back and send you through the revolving door. A nurse friend flat told me to not only advocate for myself but also always exaggerate the symptoms. Some or they won't listen. I'm a survivor of doctors who didn't listen. I'm lucky to be here. She might not have seen a doctor at all. Emergency rooms are mostly run by PA and NPs. Some are good, but their training isn't as extensive or standardized, especially nurse practitioners. They have very minimal training and they often misdiagnose. This is why I always ask for an MD or DO for concerning symptoms. I say your mama bear instincts worked. You're great for this. You have nothing to confess. You advocated for your daughter in a system that A doesn't treat people with chronic illnesses as worthy of treating and caring for, and B that consistently undermines and minimizes girls and women for simply being girls and women. Good job, Mama. You may have saved your daughter's life doing this. I would in your place. You were just trying to get the best care for your child. Nothing wrong with that. Doctors are too quick to dismiss things these days. They don't have enough time to be thorough and or just don't care. I've had to do this just for them to listen to me so I can get tests done. It just shows you are advocating for her health and they were ignoring you. Doctors are so quick to have a patient be in and out of their offices but makes us wait forever just to see them and give us nothing. You did great, Mama. Mother instincts right there, hands clapping. I'd do the same for my boy. Doctors are generally overly conservative with testing. It can be warranted to do what you can to make them happen. Not to mention many doctors are mediocre. Or worse. Just like any profession,